come on back in and have a seat. We are gathered here tonight and we're going to have an awesome webinar for you, an opportunity to learn how to use the global membership approach in your club to plan a whole year of service. Now, as you're gathering, I want to remind you that due to the size of the group, the webinar will begin promptly at 7, that it's being recorded and everyone who registered will get a copy of the recording in their email so that you can use it. You can review it. You can share it at your club meeting, at your cabinet meetings. We believe that this is a game changer for service as we work together to impact 30 million lives across the United States, Bermuda, Bahamas, and islands of the Caribbean in this coming year. Your microphones have been muted and they'll remain muted for the duration of the webinar, but fear not, we want you to be actively engaged. And so we've opened up the question box. There in the side panel toward the bottom, it says questions. Click it, type your questions in. We have some outstanding staff in Oak Brook who are going to be answering some of the questions, and they're going to be flagging some of the questions so that our guests tonight at the end can help you and your club to discover how to use the global membership approach to enhance your service impact. Because, you know, as we as Lions learned during the centennial, we lead with service so we can invite for impact and leave a legacy in our community, because people will always remember how we made them feel and what we did for them. And because of how we made them feel and the service that we provided, they will always be supportive of our great association, whether that's by supporting our fundraisers, by talking nice about us, and some will join. So tonight, sit back and have a great time. The other thing is there's 2 handouts that have already been uploaded into the handout portion of your side panel there. You can download the PowerPoint presentation from tonight so that you can review it or use part of it as a club program. And also then the links and the resources that are mentioned tonight have been put into a Word document so that you can cut and paste those into your browser and you can find a link to all the resources that we're going to cover tonight. It's an exciting evening, and we're proud that each and every one of you are here. I've got 7 o'clock, and I promised you we'd start on time, and we will start on time. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Jerome Thompson. I serve as your Global Action Team Constitution Area 1 leader. And it's my pleasure tonight to host the webinar, which has been designed to educate, excite, and empower clubs to serve globally and locally using an annual planning tool. It's also my pleasure tonight to introduce to you 2 very special guests, and they're going to share with us their system that they've used in their club and they're sharing with clubs across their district. Our 2nd Vice District Governor Renee Bright and her husband, Zone Chair Brian Bright, are going to be our guests tonight. They bring a lot of information from Guntersville, Alabama to the world tonight, and we're so honored that they're joining us. Governor Renee, Vice Governor Renee, tell us just briefly what we can expect in the next 35 minutes of presentation.
Hey, PID Jerome, thank you so much for having us. Me and Brian are very excited to talk to you tonight. Can you go to the next slide, please? So for about the last 2 years or so, me and Brian have been planning a year of service for the Guntersville Lions Club. And so the first year before I took over, we had about 2 reported service projects for the club. Not that we didn't have more than 2 projects, we only had 2 reported. And so our first year, we decided that we're going to plan the whole 12 months. 1 project every single month was the goal. This right here is a picture of my husband, Brian. And if you can see right next to him, that was our past district governor, Michelle Mosley, who's our current council chair for 34. And she came and helped us plan our year. And so we want to show you what we've been doing. You know, does your club want to plan service projects for the whole year? I'm pretty sure that the reason you signed in tonight is because you do. Are you like me? You have that paper brain, or you have a computer that you want to put all your important appointments in there. You want to make sure that you're always going to be available. So this right here will help you plan that entire service project. All of this can be done, and we have done it now about 5 times or so. We've planned an entire year in one meeting, one club meeting, 1 hour. So the time it takes us to do this webinar, you can plan your entire year service. I know that doesn't sound that can happen, but we're going to show you that it can happen. And remember that all the people that join your club, all your members already have a heart for service. They join your club to serve. And if you use these slides and you walk through with them, walk them through these slides, then you'll, like us, you'll be able to plan your whole year. Next slide.
Thank you so very much, Second Vice District Governor Renee. And Brian, we're excited because communication is important. And I know the two of you are going to bring out how that you communicate with your members so that you can begin to work together as a team within your club. We're going to talk about leading with services, how important service is to your community. But the most exciting thing is you're going to share with us how that we're going to use the global membership approach, how we're going to build a team, how we're going to build a vision for service in our community, how we're going to build a plan of action, and how we're going to find greater success. And then Lions Clubs International has outstanding resources that will be shared with us. And then the most important part of the program this evening is when we have the opportunity for questions and answers. And so, Lion Renee, Lion Brian, if y'all will begin to share with us, I'll be back toward the end to help to moderate the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, PID Jerome, appreciate it. So the next 2 slides, we're just going to talk about communication. Communication is so important. This is the #1 reason that our club went from 2 service projects 2 years ago to 192 service projects this last fiscal year. And so I want you to walk through an exercise with me. So if you'll just take a pen and a paper, what I want you to do is I want you to simply sign your name in cursive. Go ahead and do it now. So if you did that with me, I'm pretty sure that when you signed that, you felt comfortable. It was easy. You were confident in doing it. You've done it a million times. Maybe only you could read it, but it was fast, easy, comfortable. So what I want you to do is take that same pen, and this time I want you to sign your name in cursive so that anyone who doesn't know you can read every letter of your name. Go ahead and do that now. I bet the time that it took you to do that, it was probably a little bit harder, maybe a little bit awkward. You might have felt uncomfortable doing it. I'm sure that it was slower, a lot slower, if you made sure that everybody could read it. But when you did it, it was understandable. Everyone knew how to spell your name. Maybe they didn't know how to pronounce it, but they at least knew how to spell it and they could see it. When we go through building a service plan, we need to think of writing our name. The first time you write it, if you do it fast and you do it with your confidence, super easy, it's really you based, right? You're the only one writing your name. When you do it slow and steady and you think about what you're doing, every letter, what you're doing is you're actually thinking about the person that is reading your signature. You're thinking about them being able to understand what you're writing. Well, that's the essence of communication. So anybody can do a service plan, but you have to be able to communicate it to everyone in order for it to be built, executed, and also successful. So when you start to do this, when you assign roles for your service project, I want you to make sure that every person from the team lead to the photographer to any community partner, say you're going to partner with the Civitans, they all need to understand their role. You know, what is going to be their role in doing this? Get pictures for the newspaper? Are they going to be there the day? What is their job? And then when you start to assign roles and responsibilities, when you go to build the action plan, it becomes much easier. Even though it takes a lot of time, as if writing your name so everyone can understand it, it's still that is a key to making sure that that project, no matter how simple it is, everyone understands it, and thereby it can be successful. And even if it takes a while, building your project in one club meeting, you can still get it done. Next slide. Okay, so I was waiting for the next slide, please. Okay, so this slide is a little more in depth. What I want you to do now, and this will be the third exercise, I promise that's the only one I have. I want you to take that same pen and paper. I want you to write your name in cursive, but I want you to do it with your non-dominant hand. Go ahead and do it now.
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, so just by writing, I'm left-handed, so pretty easy for me. If I try to write with my right hand, it's going to be awkward. I may need some training. I may need a lot of practice. It may be very difficult to read. So when you go to check-in meetings after you've assigned roles and done your action plan and kind of getting a foundation of what the logistics and budget's going to be, when you start doing the check-in meetings, you're going to get the details of making your project actually happen. And so it's going to be slow and awkward. And if you, like we hope you do, you use a new lion who's passionate about doing the new project and you let them run it, it's going to be very awkward for you to let them run it. Whenever you think about a new lion doing something and maybe they don't do it exactly the way you would do it, you need to feel awkward about letting them be in charge. But you have to let them be in charge. If you continue to run everything, then the lions, they're not going to stay. They're going to find another passion and another organization to be part of. So I just want you to think about these kind of things when you have your check-in meetings, when you do your progress. Remember that people doing this may have never done this before. So a lot of the lions who've been around a long time, they have so much to offer, and they just need to support and empower the people around them and communicate with them. And sometimes in private, which is the most important way to communicate with a new leader. And so I put these up front before we even went through the global action plan because I felt it's so important that we communicate through the entire process. Because not only do you want to build the 12-month plan, you want to make sure that your 12-month plan is workable, that everyone can do it. And thereby doing it, you're really going to impassion your lions, and they're going to want to stay around. And remember, you're training the future of your club. A lot of clubs are dwindling, and some clubs are reinvigorating, and they're getting more and more members. The Guntersville Lions Club, we've added 9 new members since January, and just every one of those members, I think except 2 of them, has a project this year that they're going to run. I mean, these are brand new members, but they're going to run a service project no matter how simple it is. And I'm just going to show you real quick. So this was an idea of one of our service projects. Pretty simple. It's just a bottle, right? And so we didn't have any money for the service project because it's a new idea. So one of our lions was concerned about the local Barfield old folks home and the fact that they didn't have a lot of their bird feeders were, falling apart, and some of them didn't have them. So this year we didn't plan a budget for that, but we wanted to help. So everybody in our club is bringing these bottles and a stick and a piece of coat hanger, and that's it. And so we're gonna throw a pot out and have everybody donate, and we're gonna get some bird seed, and we're gonna build this at our next meeting. And then the person who's in charge of it, a new person, is gonna help us do this, and then we're gonna take them to Barfield and we're gonna put them up. And that'll be probably this weekend.
It'll impact probably 75 people who cannot get out and get away.
Right.
So they love watching the birds, and this is a way they can better their life.
That's right. And it doesn't have to be, and this doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be communicated, so no matter how simple it is, you still have to know the plan. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we get into the meat and potatoes of it. There really are just 4 steps to building a service project. And of course, I'm going to talk about the first step, and then Brian's going to cover the vision and the plan. And then me and Jerome are going to wrap up building success for the plan. So always the first thing is to build your team. Projects can be done with the one person. You know, I could have done this by myself. I could have made 30 of them. I could have took them to Barfield. It would have took me a couple hours, but you know, I didn't allow other people to be part of the service. And I don't have a long lasting effect because I could get tired one day and just, you know, never remember to tell someone else the plan. So you could do it alone, but it takes a team. To get your team to be part of this project, you know, they have to feel like they're part of it. You know, I know that some clubs have paper members, you know, but those paper members used to be members that would come to all the meetings. So if you invite them back to this build your vision for the whole year, you know, you may reignite them. I know we visited a club last week and we had an older member, and we first walked in, he did not want to do a service project. And by the time we left, he embraced the project and tried to take all the papers with him. He was so excited. And so it doesn't matter. You just have to ignite the people that are there. You know, remember, you want to reignite the passion they felt when they first joined, the passion they feel when they know that they're a Lion, and then a reason to still come to every meeting. Next slide. Okay, now this leads right into passion and purpose. So you have to match a Lion's passion with their purpose. You got to get to know them. A lot of Lions, Lions clubs have annual routine and signature projects that they've been doing for years and years. I know my club, we're really known for selling brooms and mops. Everyone knows us for that. And so they're always asking us about the brooms and mops. Now I can't drop, even though that's a fundraiser, I cannot drop that fundraiser because Guntersville Lions Club is known for the fundraiser. So I wouldn't want to not keep the projects that have made Guntersville Lions Club part of the community. So you have to be able to retain the projects that you used to do and also add new projects, you know, so that the new people and the new passions are also, you know, that they feel like they're part of what's going on. And so if you do that, if you're able to do that, then you will keep your Lions. So where do you get new ideas? How do you get new ideas? You just ask people, you know, what are you passionate about? And then be willing to listen to them. And so I know we talk a lot during the meeting. About the first 20 minutes or so, we start talking about what we plan on doing, and then our meetings start. A lot of people come early and stay late to our meetings, and we talk a lot about what people's interests are. You can make it formal, you can make it informal, but know what each one of your Lions are passionate about, and then you turn that passion into a Lion's purpose. You know, are they passionate about hunger? Are they passionate about vision? You know, are they passionate about diabetes? I joined Lions because my father was a diabetic, and I thought that it was super important. And I really enjoyed that the Lions did this diabetic lunch and learn and helped so many people. And so I was really passionate about joining the Lions because I knew that that's something that they did to support the community. Everybody has a passion. Next slide. And so once you get their passions, you have to remember that everyone on the team achieves more. This brainstorming session, the club will start to feel that their ideas matter, that they'll be accepted and included. And once they're accepted and included, they're invested. And then they'll start to feel part of your team. You know, how to reduce hunger among the elderly. You know, if you can't get the Lions to tell you their passions, just throw something out there and see how they react to it. I know at one of the clubs, we talked about helping older people get to the pharmacy. And they were very passionate about that because a lot of the club members didn't drive anymore. And so we took their passion and figured out a way to action it. And so the other key to this slide is that not only is your club a team, remember that there is a global action team. Matter of fact, we're on it right now, this forum, that will help you develop your project into a workable plan. In fact, Lions has invested a lot of time, energy, and money in building these checklists and action plans that make your life easier and your logistics much easier. We also have something called a zone chair. Brian's a zone chair, and he'll come visit your club and he'll talk to you about, what other clubs are doing, and he'll answer your questions if he can. If he can't, he'll talk to your club officers or the district officers, and he'll try to answer your questions and help you. A lot of other nonprofit agencies and other community service partners are also, their clubs are reducing in numbers. And so we have really spent a lot of time partnering with other agencies. Currently, we partner with the Civitans, we partner with Eastern Star, we partner with the VFW, the DAV. There are a lot of organizations that my club partners with, because we just don't have the resources to complete the service project, and we don't mind working with other people to do it, because the bottom line is your project is really helping your community. And why wouldn't we want to help our community? Next slide. And so once you get your team and you know that you have outside resources, your team, the project that they're going to take on for the 1 month out of the 12 months, they really need to do just a risk assessment or analysis of the team. They need to figure out who's on the team, what are the strengths of the club, what are the weaknesses, and then, how can we overcome that? How can we reduce that? And then what are the opportunities for a community? One of the big things that our current district governor talks about is using the Chamber of Commerce to help the Lions Club. The Chamber will actually sponsor events for you. They'll put out flyers for you. There's a lot of stuff that the Chamber of Commerce will do to support the Lions Club that I wasn't aware of until he told me about it, And so there's opportunities out there. And then, of course, you have to reduce the threats. We've had this pandemic going on for the last couple of years, and a lot of our clubs, instead of not having a meeting, they went to online meetings. So they reduced the threat to their club not having a meeting by finding another opportunity. And a lot of clubs continue their online meetings. I know my club does both. If you can't make it to the meeting, you can simply dial in and you can feel like you're part of what's going on. And of course, our budget has been kind of reduced the last couple of years. And so we found new and creative ways to get the same job done. It may not be the most beautiful bird feeder, but it will work, and birds don't know the difference. They don't care if this came from Walmart or that I made it here. So just think about that. And I'm going to, next slide. I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he's going to talk to you about building a vision.
Okay, building a vision, it's your club members' vision. It's their community. They know what the community needs. You may be able to get some of their passions aligned with global issues, which will help you tap into some resources. But you may have some stuff that are, similar or specific to your area. Homelessness, anything, literacy. So it depends. You really come from the position of what your members want to do. It's their club, their, what's important to them. They are critical to make this thing happen. So you got to think about the vision for the whole club based on the parts of all the club. And then that gives you your focus for your year. Now, next slide. There we go. All right. So you need a framework. You want to, for here, we got hunger. It's one of the main ones. We looked at Alabama. We looked at, world hunger, national hunger, Alabama, our county, specific things that address the hunger. We got, 1 in 4 households in our community are affected with some kind of food insecurity. So we had 2 individuals who were wanting to do that particular area, and we're kind of excited to see how they wanted to address it, because it is a big giant monster. But you got to know about your community and the where, what, when, why, and how are you going to who's your target audience? Are you going to strengthen another club's efforts with your body, your members, and your funds, or your funds? Are you going to target a missed audience of hunger? Are you going to focus on nutrition for the whole community, like get on the radio and talk about diabetes and how to get food? Or are you going to pinpoint one family and make a difference with that one family? Remember, this is an opportunity for you to train the future of your club. And next slide, please. When you're doing this activity, everybody got a poster board, and you got to understand that everybody's ideas are welcome. You got to put them all out there. You got to get their input. We'll go over the specifics how to do that in a minute. Their ideas may evolve by the end of the hour. They may evolve as they plan and see what else is out there and make more impact with their budget or with their resources. They may need more detailed planning and brainstorming in future meetings. You're going to have to do some definition, and you can get some help from other groups, but you got to get the scope of the plan. Remember, they may want, meetings every month. I mean, if they're 6 months out, they may want a month of meeting with their team, and then weekly as you get closer, then daily a couple of weeks before, just so they have a level of planning and success to get all their pieces. Remember, it's all about training these folks you see here are the future of our club, and they own a month. It's them, and we all help. They're like Texas Rangers. They're all on their own until they need help, and then everybody comes running. Remember, you're training the future of your club. Next one, next slide. Where's my next slide? All right, if you see here, these two worksheets were what we started with. This was the resource that Lions Club International provided us on the website, and helped us do a worksheet. And but we're going to go into what is available to you now, which is 100 times more powerful than this. This was got us started. We took on these two ladies took on hunger. Some tables had 4, some had 1. One of them, I think Sharon wanted to do, bringing meals to elderly on holidays nobody was thinking about. And Julie wanted to bring food to a targeted audience, like people getting out of the hospital who are indigent and need a healthy menu. So they talked about what they could do, and went on with, they figured out which one can do what. They started an action plan. They started answering the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why, and maybe their estimation of a budget. Okay. Now remember, I'll remind all of you, they came in the room. I gave everybody a piece of paper and a pencil. I said, write down the 3 most important things to you that you think our community needs. And then I said, okay, I had a poster, and I started, who wants to volunteer need? And their first ones are on the top of the list. And I write them down in 2 or 3 words. I try to summarize. And then I try to get them, everybody's up there, and we could get maybe 15, 20 on the bulletin board. I said, okay, out of this list, which 12 do y'all think our club can focus on? And then somebody's gonna say, well, I think we should do this. Okay, we'll do that. Do you know which month you want? Just pick a month. What do you think? Okay, all right, well, you gonna be the lead? Which one of y'all thinks need? Okay, you wanna be the lead? You're the lead, and this is the month. This is the topic for that month. It's that quick. They're the ones that are gonna speak up what's important to them. They wanna own it. They got stewardship. Let them be the lead. They'll get some more members. They'll get some fellow leaders, and then the whole club is their team, because we'll come when they call. We'll help them plan whatever we're good at. Okay. Then you keep your historical ones in there. If you do a bingo or you do a Christmas thing, keep those in there, because like she said, you have responsibility to the community. Your community has expectations of you. They're like, well, whatever happened now? We did that every, okay. So keep those going to keep your relationship with the community, and build some new stuff. Put in the new exciting things for your members. Remember, the club, that you have a responsibility to the club investments of material that you put into. You got your members who love that thing, and then you got your community who love that thing. So keep the old stuff. 4th thing, form teams. As they're doing the list, they all get into groups. They start picking, well, I can do this, I can do this, and then they got their month. And then they start the action plan. They just write it down, start writing. This is what we want to do. It can change. The sequence can change. You can attack the plan later. You got worst case. You can go big. What's the weather plan? Just start putting their passions and their hopes for what they can do, make them alive on the paper immediately. All right, next slide. Remember, you are building the future of your club. Okay, number 3, build a plan. Okay, not everybody knows how to plan. Okay, I've been making plans and doing activities and scouting since the late 70s. I got a lot of ways, different tools I've used and accumulated from different things I've learned along the way. And when I went on the Lions Club International, I like that chain, that those checklists you saw. But they got some amazing things now, and I've learned a few more things that I haven't used in the last 50 years. And I was like, ooh, I can use that. And some of it about the computer stuff I don't understand, but I'll find a young whippersnapper that can do all that. Okay, those who do, and there's people who know how to plan, who want to plan their way. And that's what she was talking about, that third signature with your non-dominant hand. It is very uncomfortable for me to sit there and let somebody do a sequence that I know, in my experience, would be a better sequence. But if I open my mouth, I'm going to mute them. So I need to let them, you know, my daddy used to call it, let the guy ride the horse his way. It's his horse, let him ride. He can't ride his horse the way you ride your horse. So let them do it their way. As long as you get success, as long as you make the most of your resources and people and money, and you meet the need, that's the future of your club, is getting them to do it. Okay. Remember, you're still building that club. All right, next slide. All right, this is one of the cool things I found. You get online, you go into the months, and you got these ideas. This is for people who maybe not have a passion yet. You know, they don't jump on something, or they're one of the quiet peoples. You sit back and let other people speak for them. You can go online and find out what is cool for a month. You know, when is diabetes month? When is hunger month? When is, you know, sight month? You know, when is foster care month? When is vodka day? You know, when is chocolate day? You know, there's so many things out there that you can use. And the big thing I like about the national ones is they're going to do advertising. They're going to do, you know, promotional stuff, and you can just piggyback that and make it local for your community. Put a couple signs out. You don't have to buy a big bulletin board. Maybe your community has something significant. Maybe the state does. Maybe you know, there are some things that you can be part of for that month. Like the hunger, everybody thinks about it Thanksgiving and Christmas, but the coffers are empty in January. So for that purpose, we focused our hunger in January, because that was something we became aware of from the food banks and everything. Okay, remember, this is part of building your future club, is to give them these resources so they can use their imagination and creativity. All right, next slide. Okay, you got to do a targeted approach. Okay, you've done your stampede brainstorming. Everybody's writing everything down. Okay, I like to look at the big picture. You can start globally. You can go to your country, state, region, you know, your community. This lets your team understand the gargantuan impact, how important this issue is. Then you got to get them to target. Okay, what are we going to do? You know, we can't help hunger in the U.S. Maybe we can help hunger in our county, or in a particular city, or in a, you know, small part, or Ukraine's got some needs. You know, we could go that direction. So how do you target their passion to an achievable goal? How do you target their passion where there's something you can actually do? You know, if your club members are of significant age, you're not going to go out and chop wood to help somebody heat their house. You've got to think about what our club can do, what we can make it happen, and what the difference we want to make, with who, and the target approach to do that. All right, let's go to the next slide. Let's see. All right, this is a tool that is now available to us on Lions Club International. Okay, like I said, they've got these global causes. You go on the line, and they got these questionnaires. Now, the questionnaires help you narrow down their resources. You know, they got 2 or 3 or 4 really well-developed planning tools for all of the global causes. Now they got I've noticed there's a big project, a medium project, and a small project, and there's really good step-by-step and sequence on how to address this, and gives you a lot of good ideas on where to start. You may have to tweak it a little bit for your particular area, but going online to this project questionnaire helps you narrow down the resources they have. All right, next slide. There it is. And this is their resource. You got, okay, once you put in all your questions, they're going to show you this, and it's going to tell you which one you can choose from. You got, you know, food collection. It talks about duration, all these things that people who've done this project a lot have saying, okay, this is what we need to do to make sure we have better success, that it is a measurable success. Using these tools, one thing I like about them is you don't have to, what if I do literacy? What if I want to do, something a little different? Still do the questionnaires, get the one that's closest to what you're wanting to do. And I've noticed that these have, I've looked at a bunch of them, and they have some basic topics that are generical across the board that they want you to address. And you got to start your planning. Okay, some of them have specific steps that are a little different because of whether you're going big or small. But if you go with the start your planning event, just start planning, just put it all down, write it. Okay, then you got to figure out which tasks are going to be required for this project. Like I said, Dad said, setting up the dominoes, make a list. We had a man doing a car show. He had over 100 items on his to-do list. Some of them were 6 months out. Some of them were a month out. Some were a week out. Some were the day before. Some were the week after. So figuring out all these required tasks, and his list, I think he started with 35, and every year he would add 20 to 25 items because he learned each year, okay, I need to do this more. I need to do this more. I got to make sure this happens at this time. So as you learn, you can tweak your plan for the next year if you want to do some more. Next one is the volunteer planner. Most of them want you to think about, once you've got all your tasks, then you got to think about your volunteer planner. Now, we only had 1 or 2 people at some of our tables, but they decided they were going to need at least 4 volunteers. Well, they didn't have them sitting at the table. That doesn't mean you have to do everything. You can say, I need 3 volunteers. Volunteer 1 needs to be able to have a truck and be able to do this every week. Volunteer 2 needs to be able to do this. Volunteer 3 needs to be able to do this. Volunteer 4, I'll be now volunteer 4 and I can do all these things. Now, that lets me go to the team, my club, and say, I need 3 volunteers who can do these particular duties, responsibilities. I got a man that, as long as he can sit in his pickup truck, he'll do anything I ask him to because he loves driving his truck around and I don't scratch it up. So figuring out what your volunteers are going to need, your teammates are going to need to do, can really give these people, well, I don't know anything about. No, I don't need you to know anything about hunger. I need your truck. So thinking about what those people need helps you understand, helps your club understand how they can help you. Then you got to organize your project into achievable steps. Okay. The timeline, what's got to happen a month out, what's got to happen, the week of, what's got to happen the day before, what can we do to make this thing, do I need to get permission? Do I need to get permits? Do I need to get, think about all these steps and try to get them in order. Sometimes you can group them. I need these 3 things done here, these 4 things done here. Okay. Determine your budget the best you can. Now, we like to say, all projects, you get 100 or 200, depending on how much money we raised for your month. Okay. That's what I got to start with, but I need $400 to do this project. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can find that 300. The club doesn't have it. But maybe you can go to other clubs and ask for their help. Maybe you can do the GoFundMe page thing, put a jar on the desk at the thrift store, put it in the paper. Maybe people want to donate to literacy and they have books to donate, or they can give you, $10, $20. There are different ways to enhance each project's budget, and it makes them plan on a small scale so that they're ready to be in charge of the club in a big scale down the line. So using these projects is really good for planning your future. And then, like she said, measure the success of your project. It's got to be measurable. You need it, and determining that now may help you decide what to do. I don't know how much weight somebody's going to lose. What is the follow-up for this activity, so that the club feels like they success, that I can write an article in the paper, and the community knows that we've made a difference. So, I'm trying to get you all to remember that you are building the future of your club by empowering the service passion of your members, and you're building the future of your club by developing their leadership skills and their problem solving skills and their decision making skills by a project for a month on a small scale, so they can expand that in bigger ways. And you're also building on the future club by you're giving them some tools for success. This is a major tool. You might find some others. They may evolve it and be more detailed for them. So giving them the tools, get them the experience, and tapping in that passion is really going to make a big difference for the future of your club. And now we go to the next slide, Miss Renee.
Oh,
Okay, that was that big list I went over. Next,
okay.
start the planning. Remember that. get all that down there for your event. List all the required tasks, get them dominoes lined up. You got your volunteer planner. You can label your volunteers and make sure the steps are achievable. Figure out your budget, figure out how to grow your budget, or you may have to adjust your plan. And how do you measure that success in summary?
So just a key on this one. When we did the exercise in the beginning and you wrote your name in cursive, you just sign your name. When you start planning, that's really how you do when you're just one person. When you're building a plan for multiple people, you need to make sure you're signing where everyone can read it, like that second signature. If you're going to be using another Lion member to build them to be in charge of it, or you're going to help them, you need to be writing your signature with the wrong hand, with your non-dominant hand. So just keep that in mind when you go through the steps in building your plan. Because some of those tasks, it may take you an hour, but when you teach somebody, it may take them a couple sessions to understand what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. It all has to go back with who's assigned the role of the project, and then, you know, what is your success? Maybe the first year of your Lions Club, the person who's always done that project does that project, but they add a second person to it. So next year, that person can run the project. If that's success for your club, then by all means, your club, your way. I mean, next slide. So to build success, right, we first had to build the team, right? And the team is, of course, everyone in your team. Plus, if you can bring on new members just by community partners that you're working with, or just ask people to be Lions. You know, I asked probably 30 people to be Lions, and 9 of them joined. I probably asked more than 30.
Yeah.
And so the people that are part of my team, not all of them come to every meeting. I have to figure out how to reinvigorate them and find their passions and bring them back in. And once we have their passion, we need to build a vision. So just, this is still July, right? So July, our entire month was helping our Barfield. So this was just one of our service projects for the old folks home. And one of our members wanted to do that. They we're seeing that because of COVID, a lot of people still weren't visiting their family member, and they wanted to make sure at least they could, you know, have a bird, they could watch birds outside their window, something to do. And so that's what they were passionate about. And we said, sure, we can do that. And then we made it successful. We didn't have a budget. We figured it out as a group. We let this person be in charge of it. And now they're going to go, and we're going to go with them and set up these bird feeders on Tuesday. Next slide, please. And so how do you reinvigorate people? How do you bring them back in? How do you get them passionate? So once you have their idea, and once they fill out the 12 month calendar, I just remind them in the agenda every month, we have all 12. If you can see in here, we have every single month listed from July to June, and every person who's part of that team currently is listed on there. And then they're going to, every month, they're just going to talk about, you know, where they are in the project, what they need, resources from the club. Do we need a budget? How are we going to get a budget? You know, what do you need for us to help you make that successful? And the other thing I want you to notice on here is that there's a different person just about listed on every single project, but some of the projects have the same name. That means that person volunteered to help on another project. And that's great. That's what we want. We want one person to run the project, and you want at least 1 or 2 other people who help them be successful in their project, and then they'll help them be successful. I mean, where there's a need, there's a lion. We help each other internally, and we also help externally. Yeah. And we just, you know, we make them feel successful. And then once they're done with that, you know, they get praise from the club. Maybe they get recognition. I usually give them some kind of pin. They get their picture in the paper. It ain't Renee's picture in the paper. And so, you know, then those people, they'll never leave your club, not ever. This lady helped our Barfield. She'll probably stay with our club for the next 20 years at least. Or I'm hoping she does.
And we have some members we only see once a month because they're members of other clubs, and that's all they can give us is 1 month.
That's right.
And I'm fine with that. I mean, that's their month, and we'll make that happen.
That's right. And now I'm going to turn it back over to PID Jerome, and he's going to continue talking about building the success of your service project. Thank you, Jerome.
Oh, thank you to the two of you. It was great information this evening. I appreciate all that you've done. the one thing that you've taught me is we've got to make work fun. If Lions are having a good time, they're fellowshipping, is family oriented, we're going to keep and retain our members. We're going to grow our association by extending our hand and helping others. Thank you for doing that. The other thing that we have to do is we must also share with our community what we're doing. And our social media pages are so very important to getting that done. Whether that's Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or some of those others that I don't even know about, then we take and we look at lionsclubs.org. We can get the logos there. We can get look at the social media center, the press center. We can go to YouTube and find some videos that we can share on our social media to promote what we're doing. And then the most important thing that we can do, because still some of our clubs have not fully recovered from our COVID pandemic, but they still want to serve. And so advocacy is a way to serve. And on this next slide, what you're going to see that advocacy is causing the community to be aware of a topic, educating them and creating some change. These are the warning signs of diabetes. You put it on your social media page. This is why that we should have an annual eye exam. This is what lazy eye looks like in your child. And we're just bringing that awareness and educating, and then we're bringing about change. And how do you report that though? Well, Lions Clubs International's staff in our service department has also debated that and come up with some guidelines. Basically, if I put something on my club's social media page, that at the end of the week, I can count how many have liked it, how many have shared it, how many have commented, and that's the people that we've impacted. And so I share, these are the warning signs for diabetes, and I ask a question, click like if you know someone that has diabetes. Then they start clicking like, I start counting the likes, the shares, and the comments. And at the end of the week, my club can report service of advocating or educating concerning the warning signs of diabetes with 150, 200 people. So advocacy is another way to serve. You go to lionsclubs.org and you can see that. Vice District Governor Renee, Zone Chairman Brian, I think it was Lion Michelle, sent this question to us and asked, 192 service projects? Do all your members participate in all the projects?
No, definitely not. So a lot of the service projects usually just one or two members. So we started out with 12, one every month. But as we started building them, our month became themes, and those themes became more than one project. So like this month, we're supporting Barfield. So tonight or Tuesday, we'll build the bird feeders, right? And so that'll be a service project. And then we'll send somebody out to go buy all the bird seed. That's another project. And then we'll all get together and install it. So you're three.
Well, some will go.
Some will go.
Not all can be.
Right.
Whoever, the people that can be at the meeting, they get service project. The people who take them and interact with the people and actually put up the bird feeders will.
So really,
get service project.
that one project ends up being 3 different services.
And sometimes the Lions, do a service and there's a resource and 1 or 2, or they'll take turns and they could take 2 or 3 hours to do an activity that supports a program or a money raising project. Like when the members meet, they all that's a service project. They are planning for their community.
They're planning for it. That's right.
So anything you do for the Lions that takes your time or your family resources is a service to the Lions International. And you got to think about that. It's not, directly interaction with another person. Sometimes it's you getting ready to do that.
That's
so
right.
You need to take credit for that. People need to understand that there's many facets to a volunteer activity.
Right. So yeah, that's how we ended up with so many service projects is a lot of times we'll be doing a service and then someone will ask us for something while we're there. On Friday, I did 2 service projects. One, I helped a lady get her hair cut, a homeless lady. And while I was there, I heard the lady who was actually cutting his hair, her son needed a bed. And so I said, yeah, I'll try to find you a bed. So the next day I'm looking for a twin bed. So now that ends up being just 2 service projects just based on one. So you just have to be available as a Lion. And if people know that you care and they know you're available, there's a lot of service we can do. And that one right there, I have another community partner that's actually going to provide me a bed for the person because we don't have the budget.
Yep.
So
Yep.
are you still there, Jerome?
I don't know.
What happened? Did we go off?
I don't know.
7:38, what happened?
Any more questions?
Yes, maybe Jerome lost connection, but we do have a couple other questions coming in
Okay.
from Lions. So
Okay.
Lion Brett is asking, speaking of service, he asked, when your club was planning out your calendar for the year, did you guys start with shorter, easier to accomplish projects that led to easy wins? Or did you challenge your club by incorporating a project that maybe utilized a grant or a partnership that would require more preparation, but with the benefit of serving a greater number of people?
It's really up to the members. If they think
Right.
they can tackle that, I mean, you know,
We did both,
Don't
really.
don't write a check for me to cash. If you're going to do that, then that's your project. You're going to get it. I'll help you, but I'm not going to do it for you. So if they want to go big, support as much as you can and use as much of the resources you can. You're going to have some people that want to go small, and I really think it's up to your members. Like, what are you going to get from them? And that's like a left-hand signature. It's really uncomfortable to let them do it their way, and finding out that the big plans need to be a little smaller and that the smaller plans can be a little bigger. But I'm keep going back to what your members want to try to do and put their energy and effort. I don't like to squash any passion that they want. So you'll find a combination.
Right. So with our new members, we do a lot of pretty easy projects. You know, they may come in and say, hey, we need to build a community center where Lions Club needs to meet, where our Lions need to meet.
Or buildings for homeless.
Right, buildings for homeless. And so I said, well, if we can't build a building for homeless, what can we do? And so the club decided we could pay for, 5 nights in a hotel, during the winter time.
When you put the list on the wall of everybody's
Right.
ideas, you're going to get more than 12. And you've got to remember that those extra 6 down there,
you can't let them go.
You can't let them go. You got to do something for
something.
those during the year that you can put in when you can find the resources, or that person can find the resources. That's it's beyond the theme of the month. So it's really focusing on the teams and your resources, and you have to walk on eggshells to say we can't afford that, or hey, if you can figure out a way to make that happen, if you can write the grant, I'll help.
I'll give you a point of contact for Lions International so they can help you.
So, I go back to the members of the team,
right,
and what they want to do.
I think.
All right, what's next?
Great. Lion Sandra is asking, how do you get or encourage the veteran Lions to include new or other Lions in a project that they have been running for years?
So I don't do it directly with them. I do it with all the projects. So what I started doing, probably my military background, is you always have to have a primary person and an alternate. And so I ask all the Lions to have a primary and an alternate in case they can't make the event. And I always use COVID now. And so when you say, hey, might be COVID, they're agreeable. So for the older members, you could say, hey, we need a primary and an alternate. Who do you choose as your alternate? And would you be willing to take on a new person?
And I like to go to the folks that have been around a while and say, hey, I'm getting older. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this much stuff 20 years from now. Can you help train some of the young guys on parts of what you're doing? And I know some of these old goats they don't want to let go.
We've had some members ask us to write like a standard operating procedure.
Yeah, procedure how to do it.
I think if you empower the older person to remain in charge and let them know that they're training somebody,
mentoring,
a lot of times they feel empowered because they're going to decide how that person's trained.
And if that generation that requires you to serve and earn a place, if these younger folks will get in there and just take a part, make a difference a little bit at a time, they'll earn their respect and eventually start turning it over.
Yeah,
I've had success and failure in that area. So I don't have a perfect
Yeah,
formula
there's
yet.
not an easy solution,
And
but
some
you
of the
just
old
gotta,
folks don't want to get rid of it because
that's right.
it's their thing.
Right,
But that's what we have tried and had some success with that.
right. You ain't gonna win every time. You're
Yeah.
just not.
What's next?
Lion Dean is asking if only one member participates or volunteers in an event, does that count as one service project?
Yes,
Or
it
can a
does.
club repeat the same service project every year? So a couple questions in there.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's important to keep the signature projects because not only are you doing it for the club, you're doing it for the community. And if you're known for that service, the community is expecting you to fill that gap. And so you want to make sure that that continues to happen. Like the brooms and mops. If Lions didn't do it, there's no other organization that does that kind of thing. So, we feel obligated to continue that because it's an expectation.
Yeah, the one person thing, fine.
Mhm.
I do a lot of stuff. Sometimes I have a teammate, sometimes I don't. I count the 45-minute drive there. I count the 45-minute drive back. I count how many people
And-
I interacted with.
And not all service is planned, I'll say that.
Oof.
If someone calls you on your Google phone number, which is what we get a lot, and you go and do service for them, you did Lions service. You just need to report it.
And sometimes you get asked something to do, and then you go to the meeting and say, "Hey, we did this. We helped a homeless lady with her hair get
Which I
cut.
did on Friday.
And does the club want to pay the $30
if-
bill?" And they can say yes or they can say
You
no.
can say no.
But
I mean,
putting that in the computer, that is service. That is your time. You're a Lion. I'm a scoutmaster. I've been doing it a long time. I put in every scout meeting I go to. That is
that's right.
our club sponsors that.
That's for another question.
So
We'll
okay,
have
give me
time.
another one.
Go ahead.
All right. Lion Mark is asking, since you guys are serving, I was wondering if you had any suggestions about using service projects as recruitment tools.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we do it all the time. We actually recruited 2 new members. We helped out at a Juneteenth up in Huntsville. We recruited a couple members, but then because it was in Huntsville and not in Gunnersville, we coordinated with the Huntsville Lions Club and said, hey, these people live near you. I think they'd be more suited to your club because they're yours. And so I introduced them to them, and hopefully they're participating with that club.
And talking to people, telling them what you're doing.
Yeah, tell them
they're
tell
like,
people what
oh,
you're doing.
I'd like to be part of that. Our club's
Yeah.
not doing anything. We've had a few people come from other clubs because their clubs just not Lions, but other community groups.
Right.
They're not doing a
We've
difference.
had a couple Civitan members come over.
And just telling them about
Right.
what you're doing. They're like, well, can I come to meet? Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And they may find something, and some of them have brought some new areas that I never thought of.
So-
like, yeah, we need to look at that.
Right. We've done so much service lately that our second meeting, we have 2 meetings a month. Our second meeting is a strictly service meeting. We don't do a meeting like business meeting. We just do service. This meeting, we're going to do disaster relief, and we're going to be
Bird
building bird feeders. And so that's it. It's a chance for us in the club to just talk to each other, hang out, drink Dr. Pepper, which is a big thing down here. That's my chance to get my Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
And do some service. And then we also log that time. So
What's next?
go ahead.
I think we have
All
time
right.
for one more question.
Yeah, last one could be, where in the process do you identify the underlying roadblocks or challenges?
So the first thing that I think the key here is try not to squash
Yeah.
the initiative
The hope.
or the hope or the idea of the
Mm.
person when they're bringing it in this brainstorming session. If they say they want to build a homeless shelter and you write it on the big board, that's not the time to tell them that ain't going to work. So wait and then combine all the people who want to focus in that area, the hungry, the homeless, put them in a team, and then start talking about what you can do that month. If in the future that team wants to get together and build a homeless shelter, then let them build a darn homeless shelter. It may take us 5-10 years to do it, but do not squash the people's, their dreams. If you do that in the beginning, now they're shut down.
I've noticed that.
No matter what their idea
I'll
is.
pick a month of something that I want to do.
Go ahead. I know Jerome
And-
is smiling at us.
And I pick one and then I'd say, okay, guys, I think this is going to work. I need y'all to tear apart my idea. I need y'all to be the devil's
You
advocate.
do that, but some
Yeah,
people can't
some people
take
can't do that.
They can't take
So they
that.
know that, okay, I take all their negatives and I'll say,
That's
okay,
right.
I'll try to solve those. And
That's
then
right.
I go behind the scenes when it's not going to embarrassing, it's not going to hurt.
And you say, what do you think? Let's not build a homeless shelter. What do you think about paying for
What can we do?
5 nights for people
can
in
we
the
do
winter
first?
time at a local hotel?
Okay, Jerome's waving. We got to stop.
So, okay, Jerome.
Y'all have done a great job, and we would stay all night and listen to the two of you. And we have a ton of other questions that will be answered offline by staff. I want to thank our staff for helping us to produce these webinars.
Great job, guys.
And the audience who've gathered here tonight has been phenomenal. They've hung with us for an hour, and they've gotten some great information from the two of you. Thank you, Vice District Governor Renee, Zone Chair Brian, for your passion and how you've helped us to see the possibilities of service. Now, in September will be our next webinar, and we are beginning to pull it together. If all the pieces come together this week, the topic for September will be what to do when disaster strikes your community. And you know, we've had so many communities with disaster, school shootings, mass shootings, industrial accidents, loved ones that have been killed in automobile accidents, hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding. And we want to hear from experts outside of the Lions Club as to what we can do to begin to start the conversation, what we should be listening for, what we should be learning, and how that we can embrace a solution that works for everyone, our clubs and our community. Thank you so very much for being with us tonight. Thank you once again, Renee and Brian, great outstanding Lions in multiple District 34. And thank you, everyone who's been with us tonight. Have a good evening. Until next time, keep inviting folks to join our association. Keep starting those new clubs. Keep serving like we've never served before. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.